And I'll give you a quick example. Like the first time I made $1 million in a year, my car was worth $500 that I was driving. I still drive today that $500 car. Just last week, before I came out here to California, my homeowner association called me and they said, "Hey, Jaspreet, we have a number of complaints about a junk car sitting in your driveway." And this is a true story. They said it's been sitting there because I was in California for a long time. They said it's been sitting there and people say that you should take these junk cars and put them in storage. And I was like, well, for your information, it's not a junk car. That is my car that I take to and from work every single day. It doesn't have a bumper on it, but it works. And they were like, well, you have to put it higher or further in the driveway so people don't see it. And I was just like, oh my God, like, you don't get it. Like, you know, and it's not that I can't go out and buy another car. The way I look at it is, well, if I want to go out and buy a $150,000 car, which I can go out and take this cash and buy a car, or I can take this $150,000 and put it back either into real estate or into stocks or into my business, because that's something that I've been investing heavily in now. I started a company called Market Briefs, which is a financial newsletter company, and we're trying to grow aggressively because I want to make financial news more accessible. Because this is something like I look at the things that were very hard for me to understand. Like CNBC used to be something I used to like watching, right. But it was just so complex. None of the things made sense. There's just so many things happening. And so now you might watch and say, I want to be better with my money. And so now you start watching the financial news because where do you go next? And then all of a sudden you get hit with all these complex terms and things that don't make any sense. And you turn it off. And so I created Market Briefs as a way to make financial news more accessible and easy to understand. And 2022 was the real first year that we became Market Briefs, an actual company. So I'm like, well, I can take this cash and go out and buy a car, or I can hire more employees. We can buy better software. We can buy better infrastructure. My employees have a better car than I do, but I'm focused on, you know, that long term. I want to build this into something bigger. I want to make it something better. Now I'm going to buy a nice car one day. I'm going to buy a better car. I'm not saying that I won't, but it's that level of, you know, how much are you willing to sacrifice today for something bigger tomorrow? I am not driven by materialistic things. I don't really care about name brand stuff. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, I think it's cool if you like it, but it's just not for me. I buy a lot of my clothes, my suits from India. I get them made for $100. I get them custom made. A lot of my clothes are relatively inexpensive. But for me, it's I enjoy what I do, and I'm driven more by the purpose of I want to help people with the things that I wish I would have had help with. Because the more and more that I have seen growth, the more and more that I talk to people, I keep hearing, I wish I would have learned this sooner. I wish I would have learned this younger. And that's where, you know, Minority Mindset, I'm trying to help provide that financial education with my channel and the Market Brief, trying to make that news more accessible for anybody who wants to be aware of what's happening in the real estate market, the stock market, the crypto market, inflation, without being overwhelmed with that sensationalism and the craziness of what happens in the traditional financial news.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you said that ultimately the best investment is an investment in yourself, which, you know, we've heard time and time again, but what you're ultimately saying, and that was for me too, like for me, the first things I started investing in were my health. And so I remember reading that there was that article where Conor McGregor was talking about LeBron James, and Conor McGregor was saying that he didn't realize until he saw an interview with LeBron James where LeBron said that his health bill is like $1 million or something a year to maintain his health, to be a high performing athlete. And I saw Conor McGregor's interview that he's talking about, and I was like, I want to be high performing. Like, you know, what do I need to do? And so I started researching, and then I remember I've always been a big soccer fan, football fan, because of coming from England.
Right.
And there was this interview again with two soccer stars, and they were talking about how they went to Cristiano Ronaldo's home when he just moved to Manchester. So he was bought by Manchester United when he was like 17 years old, 18, like young talent. And when they went to his house, he had his trainer, he had his chef, he had his coach. And all the other players were like, what is this? And he was like, that's my chef, that's my trainer, that's my coach. And they were like, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm going to be the #1 player in the world. Like, that was his mentality. And so he knew what to invest in. While all the other players were buying cars or going out for parties, he was building that. And